Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be going over what is our current market situation looking like right now, how will I be positioning myself going into 2025, and what stocks exactly will I be buying, and what are some tips that I would give to just people that this is their first time in the transition from quarter three to quarter four. So without further ado, let's just go straight into it. As you can see, why you should start investing now, and by the title, I'm really begging you guys, please, this is like the perfect time to start getting into the market. If you think, oh no, things are too expensive, too crazy, you know what I mean? All the big names are way too expensive. I'm gonna be showing you guys why that might not be the truth. And yes, let's get into it. So first of all, we're gonna go over what is our current market situation, and this is the main point that I want to bring up, is that so I'm expecting that you know what earnings are, and that most big name companies, large caps, have published their earnings around similar times. Like, that's why it's called an earnings season. So the last quarter three earnings season was around October to November ish. Yeah, late October to November. And so as you can see, like Apple, Microsoft, this is the Mag 7. Like Mag 7 is like the top, some of the top companies. You can see like Apple October 31st, Microsoft October 24th, and then you have late ones like Nvidia, which was November 21st. So it could be around different times. And companies, every week every week companies post their earnings, but bigger companies, it's usually around similar times. So yeah, and now so that was quarter three, but now we're going into quarter four, which is gonna be it's gonna be like late January to February. So as you can see, like Tesla, and we're gonna be starting it off with, we're gonna be starting off with Tesla, but I'm pretty sure SoFi, it's not one of the Mag 7, but I think it's gonna be first. I'm pretty sure. But as you can see, yeah, so you can go from like January 29th all the way to February 26th. Yeah, Nvidia is pretty late in the game. I don't know why that is. I don't come up with these dates. So yeah, so we're gonna get more in depth on why this is important, that we're going from one quarter season to another. But the main idea is that it doesn't matter what's happening on the news. When a company posts their revenue, their balance sheet, their cash flow, that gives you all you need to know whether you should be investing or not investing, and that influences that influences investors more than anything, right? It doesn't matter what one guy says his price target is, or that guy. If the company's posting 50% revenue gain for a single quarter, like, that's insane. So that's why it's super important. That's, yeah, okay. So furthermore, people usually say it's a common phenomenon, like the Santa Claus rally or the January effect. So, and some people on CNBC are saying, "Oh no, Santa Claus didn't come. Santa Claus didn't come to town this year. Oh no, there was no Santa Claus rally." But to them, I'm like, really? Like, there 100% was, right? But I would say it happened a little bit earlier this year. Around end of November into December. So like usually around end of the year, stocks usually a huge gain. It's usually, but the reason why is that most funds and hedge funds, whatever, they have to they try to match the S&P 500 gains, or else, if the S&P 500 is making a 20% gain, and you're only doing 10% in the entire year, it's going to look really bad. So how do you try and mirror the S&P 500? You copy it, right? If you can't beat them, you gotta join them. So that's why, like, the top names like Tesla, Nvidia, that are part of the S&P 500, a lot of funds will just keep loading up on them so they can try and mirror the S&P 500 gains. That's why at the end of the year, all these companies are rushing to be like the S&P 500 to beat the market. So that's why you can see a big jump in big names. So yeah, also going to 2025, a new calendar year, a lot of people think like, oh, now we're in 2025, can the bull market still remain, can the momentum still remain? Like, there's literally nothing that changed. If the number of the calendar year changes, realistically nothing really just changed. You know what I mean? Like, is Nvidia gonna be selling less products? Like, no. Is Tesla gonna make less cars? Like, no. It doesn't change anything. So that's why I don't see it as a big change. Psychologically it might affect investors, but not really me. Anyways, also, as you can see, is a representation of Donald Trump. You know, this is also a special year. It's an election year. During election years, stocks usually do go up by in January and November, December. So there was a big justification of why stocks went up, and also because Donald Trump won, people see that as a as great for stocks because he's very pro business, deregulation. You know, he's a Republican. You know, hands off. If you guys know economics, very laissez-faire, hands-off economics. So that's gonna look good for big businesses. And yeah, so that's why it excited investors. But there's also some worries that come with him being president, such as tariffs. So that might worry people. And yeah, so let's keep going. So another reason why, so you may have seen stocks have gone down. You know, today's January 11th. So yeah, we're at the beginning of January and people are saying, oh no, stocks have fallen. Oh no. Like, I could give you a visual example. For example, we go on TradingView. Let's go to S&P 500. You know, like since around end of December, we've actually kind of plopped a little bit, and people are like, oh no, what's happening? Oh no. You know, this is actually similar to what happened in the beginning of the year. You know, in August, I was telling people the same thing. You know, just keep buying this dip. I forgot what the problem was back then. I think it was something to do with the Fed, which we're gonna get into this time. But yeah, as you can see, that was an 8% drop, and then now it's actually not too bad. It's only 5%. But what people call a correction is usually when we get around a 10% dip. That's usually called a correction. But yeah, so I wouldn't say our markets are very strong right now. We've kind of lost a little momentum and we're getting a bit weak, but I wouldn't say we are nearing a correction at all. So I would not be worried whatsoever. But a big culprit of why this may be happening is because of tax loss harvesting. So at the end of the year, you know, the IRS says that if you sell, if you sell some of your, obviously you have to pay taxes on your capital gains, but you can actually like cancel that out by doing tax loss harvesting, which is basically you could sell your losers, all stocks that you've lost money on, and you can actually cut your taxes. So I actually don't exactly know how it works, and I think you can only do up to 3,000. I think it's called $3,000 rule, where you can only get back $3,000, but I'm not too sure exactly. But yeah, so mostly this is what people do. You know, robo-advisor tax loss harvesting. People use algorithms or automated robotic trading. So, you know, the robots will sell some of their losers in order to make up the taxes for their winners. So that also might be that's a big reason. So yeah, another big thing to look out for in our current market situation is the Fed meeting that just happened in December. So yeah, what happened realistically, quick sum up, was that they're still cutting the rates, and this is good for investors. They did only a quarter, 0.25 basis points cut, which isn't bad, and usually investors react to it great, but actually we saw a big dip after the meeting. And people are like, oh, why do we see a big dip after the Fed meeting, even though they cut rates? It's actually for a couple of reasons, you know, not just because, you know, you have to pay attention to everything that happens during the meeting, especially, you know, even their body language, the way that Jerome Powell talks. It's all very important. So, for example, what really caught my attention was that he did something along these lines. I don't know if he exactly said this, but he said something like, what we did was a close call, but it was the right decision. And when he said this was a close call, that investors were gonna be like, oh no, this is bad, right? And people are gonna get really worried, and I knew that was gonna happen when he said that. I don't know, it's something along those lines, but he said close call. And he also signaled that they're gonna do less cuts going into 2025. I think they were planning to do 4 more rate cuts, but now I think they're gonna do 2. I might be wrong on that, but something like that happened where they're projecting less cuts. And yeah, they're saying inflation is going down. And actually, if you paid attention, that the jobs report just came out, and the labor market increased significantly than targets. So that's actually pretty great. So anyways, yeah, so that kind of affected us too. And Another thing I want to mention is that stocks might be dropping right now, big names that I'm holding, such as like a Tesla, Nvidia, whatever, because, there hasn't been too much media coverage. I mean, there's been media coverage, but not like too crazy media coverage, and even like the last big news we had on Tesla was actually kind of bad for the company. So like real like Palantir, for example, there hasn't been too much like hype around these companies, so people kind of lost their interest. But yeah, so I'm not too worried. Because think about it, like once we get into quarter four earnings, like it doesn't matter who says what or what media we have. It's like whatever the numbers are, right? Like if Palantir, comes with great, revenue growth, and yeah, like they have great revenue growth, and they're much more profitable than last quarter, then it doesn't matter what they say on the news, people are going to drive up the price. So yeah. So tips that I would give for this point in time, because I've been through a quarter three to quarter four transition. I haven't been investing. This is the first time I've been investing during a presidential election year, so that's pretty cool. But here's some tips that I wrote down. Sorry, let me move my camera. So, okay, first of all, don't buy leap contracts. If you don't understand what leaps are or options contracts, don't worry. Maybe you could search it up on your own time. But I would say do not buy option contracts. Usually, I'm very fond of leaps contracts. If you guys don't know what leaps are, for example, it's as you can see, long-term equity anticipation. It's basically like options contracts, except they're like 6 months out minimum, right? So like 6 months out expiration. So I'm not saying sell. I'm not saying sell the ones you already have, right? But for example, like Palantir, like I actually had recently just sold a contract that I had on it, a leap option, and yeah, because like we're in a very volatile market, because think about it, people don't know exactly what's going on. We're in between quarter three and quarter four. Things could have changed with the companies. Think about it, like for example, God forbid, Nvidia doing it. We did well. They had a really great quarter three earnings, but right now they might actually be doing really crappy. They might be doing really bad, but like we don't know that because we have to wait till February 26th, right? I think that's what I said. So yeah, right now markets are very volatile, and yeah, so don't be buying options right now, because you will get screwed over by Ivy Crush. The Greeks, Theta Decay. It'll screw you over. So yeah, I would say realistic. What I'm doing, I'm waiting till quarter four earnings, and then I'll be buying more options contracts. So yeah. All right. So two, take advantage of low price on stocks you love. So this is like a really main point that I'm trying to get at, is that we can be buying stocks at such low prices right now. For example, like think about, we check Nvidia, like think about, we could be buying at 135. Like that's amazing. Even if I told myself at the beginning of the year that a low price for Nvidia would be 135, I'd be like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like think about it. August, like damn, we were down. We were like in the hunt. Yeah, we had even gone down to like below 100, and like, wow. It's like how far that we've came. It's amazing, right? Yes, we even see like Meta. Meta's actually not down too much from all time highs. So that's, but like think about like Apple. You want to invest in Apple? Like, yeah, Apple for 236. That's awesome. Microsoft you could get it for 400. That's awesome too. You know what I mean? Like, and for example, like AMD, some people are huge fans of AMD. I'm actually not the biggest fan of AMD. We're gonna get into that later, but it's like you can get AMD for 116. Like, wow, dude. Like you could truly, you can get, you're getting AMD for under $120. That's insane, right? Anyways, so yeah, but like look, you see like Amazon, that's great. And like SoFi, which I'm gonna get into, like SoFi you could get for, like we were in the 16s, we were almost like $17. Like now you can get it for $13. Like that's amazing. Anyways, so yeah, take advantage, and also don't worry if your portfolio drops. Like during this time, you're gonna see like, oh my gosh, my portfolio, all my gains have been wiped from the year. This was such an amazing year for me, but all my gains are all gone. Or maybe not for you. Maybe you're invested in like some special stocks. I don't know. But like some people are like, oh my gosh, all my money's gone. Like it's not gone. You know what I mean? Like you don't lose your money until you've sold. You haven't lost or made money until you've sold the security, right? Like that's what Warren Buffett's number one rule is. He's like, number one rule, don't lose money. Number two rule, listen to rule one, right? Like, don't lose money. And people are like, oh no, but what if my stock drops tomorrow, right? Like, doesn't mean you lost money. That means you're still holding it. You just haven't sold. So yeah, and I said, embrace it, invest more. Like, if your portfolio drops, that's just a sign from God that you just need to be investing more, right? You need to, these companies that you're so confident in, just keep investing more money because you're gonna be thanking yourself, right? Like during August, right? Like when I showed you Nvidia dropped, I kept investing, and I'm thinking to myself now, like I'd been buying at like 105 average, so I'm pretty happy. Anyways, so realize if you're a long-term investor, you should be happy about low prices. Basically, yeah, adding to what I'm saying, if you're so confident in a company, for example, me, when I buy a company, I I believe that in 5 years they will be more profitable and have and be like the stock price, in general the stock price will be higher than it is now in 5 years from now, right? So when I see lower prices, I just take advantage of that because I know that in 5 years, according to my belief, that the price will be higher. So I don't say, oh no, the price dropped. I'm gonna be like, oh, this is perfect, now I can get more shares at a cheaper price. So for number five, I said stop listening to everything people on the news say and pay attention to general sentiment. So people on the news, it's common that they'll give like crazy price targets, right? Like they'll say, oh, Palantir is going to 200, or actually no, Palantir is going to $30, like it's gonna crash, or like people will say this or that, or they'll say like we're gonna have a huge bull market, or we're actually going into a much needed recession that we've had coming for a while, so sell everything. You know what I mean? People are like saying all these crazy things. um and yeah, like everyone can be like, people have been wrong many times. Some people that I even look up to, like Tom Lee and Dan Ives, they they've made some wrong calls many times before, right? They've been wrong about a lot of things, so don't always believe what these people say. But what I was saying, what I did mention though, is pay attention to general sentiment. So what I mean by this is like, if everybody's like, oh yeah, we're 100% going into a bull run, everyone's like super, like you'll notice it, right? When everyone's like, oh yeah, for sure, we have to get into this is a huge bull run. Everyone keep investing, keep going. No, 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 right? If everyone's like that, then I want to be a little bit worried. And if everyone's like, oh my gosh, everyone, you need to sell, we're going into a big recession. If everybody's saying that, then like you might want to actually buy, because like, so like, anyways, just in general, I wouldn't pay attention too much to what people on the news say. But I would pay attention, obviously, still, I would still say still watch the news, because people give like important things, right, about companies. Like, when like Nvidia or something has a earning, post their earnings, you know what I mean? Like people do like a review, but like don't listen to like the crazy like Jim Cramer or something like that, you know what I mean? But like still watch YouTube, watch CNBC, and like pay attention to the news, but like the factual information, not the opinionated information. So yeah. And I would say don't fall for silly stocks that people persuade you to buy, like quantum and nuclear stocks. So what I mean by this is like, people during this time when your portfolio is dropping, or during a time that's like super volatile and the market, like a ton of things are going on, people are gonna take advantage of your like mismatched feelings and tell you, oh yeah, you should totally buy this new type of company. For example, that was quantum, right? And people were like, quantum computing, it's going to be the future, look at it. And people were already pricing in something that wasn't going to happen for another 20 years. And I knew at some point people are going to be like, dude, this is crazy, right? Like obviously stocks are priced in at prices that are, not for today but in the future. But like, I knew that like this quantum computing stuff, this is not for a while. So like I wasn't going to. And funny enough, at CES, Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, had actually exposed them, saying that it's not going to be for another like 20-30 years. So yeah, those stocks like I don't know, QBTS or Ionic or all these quantum computing companies, yeah, they're done, right? It's funny. Some people will be like, oh, take advantage of these low price. I'm all about taking advantage of low prices, but that's like that's like, I don't even know, like. And the like these nuclear power companies, like, think about it. I'm telling you, you can't find any nuclear powered company that is profitable whatsoever. Like this nuclear power stuff, it probably will be good one day, but that's like, you're going to be waiting 30 years for them to even build one of those like nuclear power plants for these. Like these are very like weird like speculative stuff, right? Anyways, and I said do not base your analysis on price targets by funds. That's kind of what I was saying earlier, right? Funds, at the beginning of the year, that's also why we might have seen like dips or jumps in stocks, is because at the beginning of the year companies post their price targets for the end of the year, and they'll give whatever price. Honestly, a lot of these like funds, they'll put like a low price target on a company just so that they could buy it at a low price and like reap the profits later. So like honestly, I wouldn't like when I bought Palantir, for example, the first time I ever bought Palantir was at $16, but when I remember I was buying at $30 heavily, and I remember there was like price targets of like $10, right? Like it's gonna drop down to $10. Like right now we're at like we've hit $80 in Palantir, right? Like it's crazy, right? So don't believe all these price targets, right? Like listen to yourself. Anyways, and I also said make sure you're dollar cost averaging. By dollar cost averaging, I mean don't. I would say make a schedule for how you're gonna buy stocks going into quarter 4, right? So from now until the end of season, until the end of quarter 4 earnings season, I would say by like, okay, I'm gonna buy this many shares on this week, this many shares on this week, this many. So you're not like putting all your money one week. Oh shoot, the stock drops. Okay, that's kind of bad. You know what I mean? Like think about it. You put some of your money this week. Oh no, the stock drops next week. Okay, now I can buy it at a lower price. Oh no, the stock drops next week. Oh, I can buy it at a lower price. Or obviously you buy the stock now. Oh, the stock goes up next week. Okay, I'll keep buying. Oh, the stock goes up. It's like it makes sense, right? Like don't put all your money all at once. And yeah, so I said do not over diversify your portfolio. This is a common thing during times like this where markets are volatile. People are like, oh, you need to buy 50 different stocks. If one drops, then you're actually fine. But then you have to realize when you over diversify your portfolio, it's gonna be, you're gonna be making 2% per year. So listen, if you wanna do, listen, I say 5 to 10 stocks. I'm very simple, 5 to 10 stocks. But people like to say, oh, you have to diversify your portfolio like crazy so you're not losing money during this time. And I think that's stupid. I'd say if you're buying 50 stocks, for a fact that you have those 10 stocks that you're very passionate about. And like, are you realistically super duper passionate about all 50 stocks that you're buying? Like, no, you're not. Like, I know the 50th stock, like, you're not that confident in, right? So why would you waste money putting money into that 50th stock when you could have put it into your number one stock, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. Anyways, so yeah. So let's get into stocks that I'm actually buying. I'm not going to go too much into depth on each of the stock because I feel like that would be good for another video. But let's get into some like the major ones that I'm taking advantage of the low prices on. Let me move my camera. So, for example, Nvidia. Obviously, Nvidia is my favorite stock. If you haven't been able to tell, I think that Nvidia is going to be doing well in 2025. They're going to have a great quarter 4 earnings season. Great quarter 4 earnings. The revenue growth is going to look fantastic. And listen, I think a lot of people compare Nvidia to AMD, but I'm going to be so real. I think, listen, a great analogy is that Nvidia is a market maker and AMD is a market taker, right? Like Nvidia is the one that creates these new chips, the new Blackwell things, and AMD just tries to copy it and tries to do it, but they haven't been as successful, right? So listen, we're in a race. I feel like we're in a race between Nvidia and AMD. I think both companies could do well. I definitely have no doubts that AMD could do well, but I think Nvidia is just the winner, and think about it, I just want to invest in the winner. I don't want to invest in the loser, so I don't think I should be buying both. I'm more invested in Nvidia. So yeah, I'm sure you guys know SoFi is my second favorite stock. I love SoFi. Why? Because I think it's the newest. It's the newest bank that's really challenging the banking industry. It's really the underdog, and I think it's new age banking. It's the first online bank, first ever fully online bank of all time that combines banking with fintech. Very popular among younger people, such as it's projected that Gen Alpha will be all on SoFi, and they're great for student loans. Biden just he had to cancel the student loan financing program that he had, or forgiveness program, and a lot of people are going to go to SoFi to get student loans at great prices. So yeah, And next is Tesla. Tesla, I'm a little bit skeptical on, but I mean, obviously, I'm still buying it, so I'm not super skeptical. But it's still the most skeptical I have been on a stock that I'm buying a lot. But I'm still very confident. Obviously, Elon Musk and Donald Trump having close ties, and also Palantir and Tesla, Alex Karp and Elon Musk also being very connected. I just see 2025. I see a lot of innovation. For example, the Optimus robots and the Robo Taxi. I think the robo taxi might actually come sooner than we think. So yeah, I'm very optimistic. And Amazon. So Amazon's more of a safer play for me, such as like, like I like to think like Amazon, Google, Apple, like those are like safer plays because think about like an Amazon, it's not really gonna fail. You know what? Like I think of it like there could be a universe where Tesla just completely fails and it's like the robo taxi never works out and like things like that. But, like realistically, I don't think like people are gonna say like, oh no, I'm gonna stop using Amazon because like Amazon's such an essential product, such an essential website that, and they're continuing to innovate with the AWS service. If you want to search it up, you can go for it. It's an amazing service that they provide. And yeah, I think they're an amazing company that's going to continue to grow the revenue. And all right, next, so these are stocks that I want to start a position in that I actually may, um, or start a larger position in because I already have a position in New Bank actually and Meta and Roblox, but like really small. But yeah, so I put Meta here. Meta, I really want to take advantage of these prices that we can get it at. I think it could drop lower going into quarter four, and I think they're gonna have a great quarter four earnings season as well. And it's just in general, Meta has it's just I think there's a lot more innovation that we can get from Mark Zuckerberg. Think about like I think he's very young. I think he's in his 40s or something. Most of these companies, their CEO, like think about Jensen Huang or Lisa Su of like AMD, or like I don't know Elon Musk. Like they're in their like 50s, 60s, 70s, right? Like things like that, right? But like Mark Zuckerberg, he's like the youngest CEO. Like he has a lot of time ahead of him, right? Like he's ready to like take a risk and do things that are crazy, right? So like that's why I have a lot of like hopefulness in Meta. So then I also put here Roblox, Roblox, and I actually put Roblox and Shopify here. People are like, why are we investing in Roblox? What the hell is that, right? Like I think you guys do know what Roblox is, right? You probably played it, but there's a lot of different reasons. I'd probably make a whole entire video on that. But mostly the main reason is that Roblox is even partnering with Shopify and they've lowered their prices for their in-game currency and they've seen a much greater growth in their player count and they have been partnering up with Meta as well to like think about like the metaverse, like they want to put that in Roblox. So I don't even know how that's going to work, but I think it's going to bode pretty well. And yeah, so New Bank, basically I could make a whole other video for New Bank as well, but just know New Bank, it's basically the SoFi of Brazil, and it's been growing rapidly. They're getting a lot new members, and I think it's amazing. And yeah, Shopify is just a great company to just own in general. Like for example, Shopify is like you go to any, like you want to sell like your product right now. Like you came up with a really cool awesome product. You want to sell it right now. Like think about where you're gonna sell it. Most likely Shopify, right? You go to any of these, like you go on Instagram, right? Someone's trying to sell you a product. You could tell in the top right corner when you see like the little bag, you could tell it's Shopify. Like you could tell, like I'm telling you, 99% of people that sell things, like small business owners, on like Instagram or Facebook Marketplace or YouTube, whatever, they all use Shopify. I promise you. I see it. It's like wow, their revenue has actually spiked like crazy as well. And then obviously here I have AMD. I like to think of AMD and Nvidia. They're like the two big rivals, and I'm kind of on the Nvidia side. But seriously, I've been getting very very convinced and sold by a lot of people, such as Jeremy, who I watch, financial education, that guy. He's crazy bullish on AMD, especially because it's at a very great valuation, a very low price right now for how much they're making. It's great. Also, they're doing really well. Like their revenue growth has been amazing. I just think that Nvidia will be better, but I don't know. I might start a position in AMD, but I'm not for sure yet. I don't know. And yes, you guys are probably like, oh wow, how come he hasn't mentioned Palantir? You know, you're probably surprised, why am I not mentioning Palantir? And so yeah, Palantir has been kind of like a rough spot for me recently because listen, obviously the valuation has been through the roof, but I still listen. The only reason why I'm still buying this company going into 2025 is because I am very hopeful about their earnings and their revenue growth because I believe that this quarter we can have a 40 to 50% revenue growth. I think it's possible. And if we do, if we get a 50% revenue growth on Palantir, you better bet that we're getting to $100 price target. It's not even a question, right? But, you know, the only thing is I'm a little bit skeptical on Palantir because, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad company. I think it's the most innovative company on the market currently, of, you know, like currently right now, right? Like more than Nvidia, more than Tesla. That what they're doing with the US government and with American business is just, it's just amazing, right? Like if you watch his conference calls, you listen to this guy Alex Karp, he will sell you. He will literally sell you his company just from his words, just based on his body language. Um and so Palantir, I'm a little bit skeptical because if we only get like a 20% revenue growth this quarter, we could definitely see the stock dropping. But otherwise, I still have really great hopes for this company. I know that in 5 years from now, we, we will be at a higher price than we are now, and I know that for sure. Well, I don't know it for sure, but I'm very confident. And yeah, so just what I wanted to quickly show you is that, you know, you go on 1000x.com, and you look at some big names. For example, you look at Meta. You know, some people are saying, "Oh, the stock market's so overpriced right now. Everything's such a crazy price right now." But I don't think so. For example, you look at Meta, trailing 12-month PE 29. That's amazing, right? Let's go to Nvidia. Oh, I'm sorry. 53, like, and look at the 2-year forward P at 30. Wow, that's insane, right? Like, let's go to Amazon, 46, trailing 2 month forward P, 2-year forward P 33. That's amazing, right? Let's go to let's think like AMD, for example. Wow, at 20, like that's awesome. Like also you want to check like Google, or like Google, like 20, like that's amazing. 25 PE, like you're not getting like screwed over on these prices. I'm telling you, this is not like you're getting screwed over. So yeah, so I also just wanted to pull up some charts, just show you guys, for example, like projections by analysts. Like for example, you go to Nvidia. Why do I keep doing that? When you go to Nvidia on the trailing 12 months, you know, their earnings are projected to be 100, almost 200 billion. That's amazing, right? Quarterly, I don't know. This is their projection, but it looks amazing, right? And you go to, like, let's go to SoFi too, right? SoFi, look at that chart, it's amazing. Let's go to Amazon. Amazon too, just steady upwards projections. Let's go to Meta. Just amazing. Tesla too, right? Like it's like, and it's awesome. For example, like SoFi, I wanted to bring up that, like, look, this is why I'm super bullish on SoFi, is that our earnings per share, like, think about it, this right here, this means that SoFi just became profitable, right? Their earnings per share just went positive, and quarter four of 2023. Quarter four of 2023. So that's amazing, right? Like I'm very happy. Like this is the first quarter three is the first time when they have been profitable over the past year. So that's awesome. So to end the video off, just want to show like two quick memes. I guess I show like I learned from my mistakes, so I decided to make more mistake, right? So don't be afraid to make mistakes in this market. Like trust me, if you're young right now, take advantage of your youth so you can make mistakes. And realistically, like if you're like, oh no, what if I buy too many shares of Tesla? What if I buy too many shares of Amazon? Oh no. Like realistically, you can't really go wrong. You know, you can't, like, I'm never worried that like, oh my god, I'm investing too much into SoFi. Like I don't, like, you know what I mean? In 5 years from now, it's not gonna matter. Like, oh, I'm investing too little or too much. You know what I mean? Like, you can never invest like too little or too much. Like you're trust me, you'll be fine. Don't worry too much about like the exact statistics of how much you're investing. Like I said, a giant bullish reversal. I think we might have that. My prediction is that quarter four earnings, we're gonna get a huge bullish reversal. Even though right now we're not even bearish. We're only at like a 5% correction in the market. Like, realistically we're fine. But I think we're just gonna keep going up in 2025. I think we're gonna keep this bullish momentum. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching the video. I'm very happy that you tuned in. And yeah, just please keep investing. Take advantage of the market right now, and I promise you will be thanking yourself. You will be thanking yourself. So thank you so much.